Adam.
And I'm Jackie.
We're here with SoWizardPodcast.com. Be sure to check out the podcast, check out the website. First off, we should probably apologize for what happened last time. A couple weeks ago, we had a long episode talking about UFC 234 and the documentary The Hurt Business, which you should definitely go and check out. And all of our audio and video got completely scrambled, and we lost all but about 3 minutes. So that's why no episode. We just didn't have time to do another one that quickly. Check out the documentary, but we're going to move on to something else this week. This week, we're going to talk about Quentin Tarantino's amazing two-part Kill Bill. Now, Jackie, Tarantino is your favorite director, and this is one of, if not your favorite movie.
It is my favorite movie.
Okay. So is this or Reservoir Dogs?
It's this movie, and both parts of this movie is my favorite movie.
And that's something we talked about before we started recording, is do we talk about Kill Bill Volume 1 and then Volume 2 in a separate episode? But we decided Kill Bill is one movie. It's not a sequel.
Yeah, it's one story.
It's one story, right. So we're going to be doing Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 today. Movie as a whole, obviously, you love it. You just said it's your favorite movie. Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's expert filmmaking as you can get in a martial arts movie or a Tarantino movie. The guy's definitely an auteur. He knows what he's doing. Why is it your favorite movie? Loaded question.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's my favorite movie, I think, because it was a great story, first of all, and it was great filmmaking, and it was a really great showcase for martial arts. And it was also, I felt like it was a good movie for women.
Yeah, before that was kind of
before, like, it was sort
I
of...
don't want to call it a fad, but it's more common now than it was then.
Well, people are way more, like, conscious of it now than they've ever been, obviously, which is a good thing. But I feel like he did it without, like, calling attention to it. Oh, look at what I did. You know what I mean? He just did it because it was like that was the story. He was going to tell it, and that was that.
Right.
For a lot of the first movie, I would argue about 90% of the cast was female.
I think so. I mean, there was Bill and his brother, Bud. But he was only in the second part.
Yeah.
Well, primarily.
Michael Madsen's character was only in the second part.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill was never actually been seen on screen until, like, the second one. We saw him at the beginning, talking, but then, you know, he had his scenes at the end of the second movie. But yeah, no, like 90% of that cast in the first one was female, which was great because it never felt like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like you were...
Well, they weren't jamming the message down your throat. They just told a great story.
Spectacle. Yeah, it was just a great story. It didn't matter that they were women doing this stuff. It was just... That's what I loved about it. They didn't call attention to it. They just did it.
Yeah, and you said that this was a good movie to showcase martial arts. I don't imagine anyone listening to this has not seen Kill Bill, but the martial arts in this movie, what I thought was so cool was it brought the Asian influence of martial arts movies to a Western movie. I'm not going to say to American audiences, because American audiences have seen Bruce Lee and they've seen Jackie Chan, but the Asian-made martial arts movies do tend to be a little bit leaning into some mysticism and otherworldly things. Like, they don't go as far as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where the characters are literally flying, but there's a lot of exaggeration and things of that nature. And I thought Kill Bill did a really great job striking the balance of, here is a legitimate Asian-style martial arts movie made for a Western audience in a Western style by a Western director, paying complete homage to it without ripping it off or making his movie cheesy.
Right, yeah. Exactly. It did just that.
It was also a nice blend of different cultures' martial arts, like the Chinese martial arts, and then there was a lot of samurai movie influence,
really,
not only story-wise and sword-wise.
The first one was just a samurai movie. The first one, that was what it was. It was like a revenge samurai movie. The second one was a Western, but had elements of a kung fu movie in the middle.
I mean, not even elements. At one point when she goes to train with Pai Mei, that is a straight-up 70s
yes,
style.
But that's what I mean.
I love that.
It was just that in the middle, but like the beginning was a Western, the end was a Western, the middle was a kung fu movie, and then the whole first part of the story was just a a samurai movie.
Here's
Hi,
Keela.
Miss Keela.
Well, speaking of it being 2 parts, I always thought it was a really cool choice that the first part, you get the majority of the action in the entire movie in Kill Bill Volume 1.
Well, yeah, and it's outrageous, so you're like, what is this? And then...
But it was almost a brave, bold choice because
Well, yeah.
he gets everyone hooked and everyone goes back for part 2. It's not the same tone at all. But you're already there. You're already
Right.
hooked for the story. I mean, never mind the fact that it's Tarantino. That would keep you going anyway. But I always thought that was a cool move because the story is told out of order. I think more so than Pulp Fiction, but not
that's
quite
his
Memento
thing,
level.
And
yeah.
he does it the best of anybody that I've ever seen.
Well, I think what's nice about the way he does it is Tarantino respects the audience. He doesn't think the audience is stupid. He doesn't cram exposition down your throat. He's not giving you the roadmap every step of the way, like, oh, this scene takes before this, and fast-forwarding through scenes to catch you up on what's going on. He tells you the story. You put it in order naturally because you've seen
But
the
it's
stories
also,
before.
I've probably, if I'm lying, I'm dying, I probably have seen this movie somewhere north of 100 times. I love this movie. The first one. The second one, I still love. It's all the same story. I've seen it significantly less than the first. But yeah, no, I've seen
Well,
this
just
movie
being that it's so
many
front-loaded with
times
action.
that I can tell you there's no holes in it. There's no holes anywhere. And he's just that good at writing and directing and all of that there was no space to go like, well, why did that character do that? Why didn't they do that? That was out of character.
No, Tarantino definitely writes for the character.
Right. There was none of that, and there was nothing that when you chopped it up and pieced it back together, there was none of it that was like, oh, this wouldn't have made sense. This didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. But I feel like sometimes you watch movies that try to copy that style, and they're just a fucking cluster.
Especially the more you watch a movie, the more you are to find holes or little goofy things,
And
even if it doesn't take away your enjoyment. There's always something to nitpick.
But he's so good that there's so few of those, and even when you see them, you're not like, well, that was sloppy.
Yeah, there's nothing sloppy in Tarantino.
No, he's fantastic. But no, I really do love this movie, and yes, we were talking about the martial arts in it.
Yeah, the martial arts themselves,
The
how...
mysticism. There was really mysticism, really mostly with the Pai Mei.
Well, the Pai Mei is where it comes the heaviest, but even
Mm-hmm.
the very first fight, the movie opens on Uma Thurman fighting
Vivica
A. Fox, right. And even there, some of the jumps and stuff were definitely done with wires, but it's just a little bit. It's just enough to give it that Asian feel.
Two people could have had that fight legitimately if they were trained well enough. And in the House of Blue Leaves, like the end scene, maybe not so much the sword fight at the end between her and Oren, because that really there wasn't much, like crazy.
Well, no, that was just a old school samurai movie.
In the actual showdown where she's fighting the Crazy 88, there is a few moments where she does sort of like, I don't want to say fly, because that's not really the right
No,
word.
that's what I'm saying. It's
But
exaggerated
it is-
wire jumps. It's just a little bit more to give it a little bit of an otherworldly feel without taking you out of the movie where she's flying across the room.
Yeah, I thought, and I actually, with that particular scene, it's probably, one of my favorite scenes, I would say. That and then the sword fight between her and Oren is probably my favorite scene in any of the, in either part.
Well, it's also cool because you get to the climax of the movie, and the climax of the movie is almost a full hour.
Yeah, but what I like about that scene was there's actually a Japanese version of that scene where they don't put it in black and white. And they decided to put it in black and white in the American cut because they got a better rating.
Yeah, the blood and gore.
NC-17, and then it changed to R because they did some of those little things. So there was like an extended cut. I think you probably find it on YouTube or something, and that's where I found it. And it was so well done, and it didn't take you out of it. It was just great.
Even cutting it to the black and white, he made it a style choice.
Yeah.
He didn't make it a handicap. He really leaned into it and made it great.
Right.
From what I heard, it wasn't another country's cut of the movie. He did it for the rating, and then Tarantino does his own private screenings, still on film and everything. He even cuts trailers that he thinks belongs with the movies. And he made a version, and I looked for over a year to get you even a bootleg of it, and they don't exist. Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, which is both parts as one movie in sequential order with all the deleted scenes added in, that in full color. The anime scene, I believe, is longer, which is something we didn't even touch on, the fact that you get a samurai movie, a Western movie, a chopsocky movie, an anime, and a Chinese martial arts movie.
Yeah, I always do forget that you kind of do get that 70s vibe with the soundtrack and...
Well, that's all.
You
He
know,
even
some
opens
of
up with the Shaw Brothers logo, because
Yeah.
Tarantino's a big fan of the Shaw Brothers. Those guys produce probably well over 1,000 movies. And Tarantino actually does a lot to bring those movies into this country as a producer. He'll bring the original Asian versions of some of these movies and just release them, which is very cool. He doesn't put a hand in it. We're kind of all over the place on this one. We're both pretty excited about the movie. Another thing we were talking about before, and you touched on it a little bit, is even with the mysticism in it, even with the larger-than-life action, even with her taking out, I don't know, 40 guys, whatever she kills in that crazy 88 fight, they even say there's not actually 88 of them. But through all of that, it still feels grounded in reality. It never feels like a fantasy movie.
No. No, it felt like if with very little
Suspension
very
of disbelief.
little, yeah. I mean, you could argue...
It doesn't feel like any more than any other movie.
Yeah.
Which is excellent filmmaking.
Yeah. And the acting is great.
Yeah, the cast, it was a lot of Tarantino regulars with Michael Madsen, Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, of course. I'm sure there was more.
You don't really see him all that often. I mean...
No, but it's still, when you watch a
bit,
Tarantino
yeah.
movie, you get these same elements just mixed up in different ways. It's a
Yeah,
good
I
thing.
don't think he really ever used Vivica A. Fox before. I don't think he really used Lucy Liu.
Well, I think this is one of his bigger casts.
Yeah, but yeah, and David Carradine, I don't really think he used either. But yeah, Michael Madsen and Samuel L. Jackson did more or less a cameo, really.
Pretty
Uma
much,
Thurman.
yeah.
Um,
But Uma Thurman, really, she had a lot of weight to carry.
yeah.
I thought David Carradine was a cool choice given the fact that he was on Kung Fu, which was such a massive series at the
That
time.
was, I guess they were originally going to give the part of Bill to Warren Beatty, I think.
I heard that, and they made the right choice with David Carradine. He just has some cadence in his voice that makes him...
You could he's a great villain, and that's nothing that I think I would have said seeing him in Kung Fu or anything else that he might have done. But once you see him in Kill Bill, you're like, oh, he's a perfect villain. I think maybe that's just Tarantino's genius in making like the role to the actor to the role, and just kind of being able to write for that. But he just felt like he was like this evil fucking person, but not really.
Not if you watch the movie from his point of view. From his point of view, he was the victim. He was wronged, and he was doing in his own weird way what he thought was the right thing, which is the greatest villain is...
Well, yeah, but that was...
He's not a mustache twirler, he's a person.
Yeah, but that was also their code, too.
Right, yeah, they were assassins. What did she think was going to happen?
Yeah,
They're not going to get revenge? Yeah, absolutely.
I actually read a really interesting essay that someone wrote, and I think he was like...
Was it in the Kill Bill Diaries? Because I know you're reading that.
No, because that was just David Carradine's like journal that he kept, which was also very interesting, and I recommend it. But it was like an essay, and it was like actually like a thesis that this guy was writing, I think for like film school or something. And when I got, I forget whatever the version of the DVD that I have is, it's like the
collector's anniversary, whatever version, yeah.
And there was like an insert in there, and I read it, and it was just interesting to read about how this guy's opinion was that we see her as the heroine of the story, but she's actually kind of a piece of shit. She kills people for a living, but you never really see her do any missions in her...
Yeah, you only see her as the victim that gets revenge.
A victim and getting revenge, so you're always on her side. But when you think about it, you're like, he was talking about how killing all of her friends, was just assuming those are the only people that really cared about her at all in her life. She had
especially
to kill
Bill
all
legitimately
of them.
loved her even after everything went down.
Yeah. She had to kill all of them in order to find peace. So it was sort of like her going through almost like a purgatory, where you're kind of like sifting through your life,
physically
and then you
eliminating the sins of her past.
Yeah, you end up at the end. She's sort of like writing the world, because, or well, at least her own little part of the world.
Yeah.
You're writing it because you're getting rid of all the bad, and now you're starting over new. So I mean, he obviously worded it so much better than I just did, but it was an interesting take on it.
That is really cool. What year did this come out, Kill Bill?
2003?
No. Hopefully for the 20th they'll release that whole bloody affair.
Was it 2003? I think
It
it was.
feels right.
I feel like it was.
That's another cool thing about the movie, because aside from when they take out a cell phone,
Or
not a single thing in that movie
maybe
feels
the
dated.
first one, and then 2003 was the second one, perhaps?
Something like that.
I think I'm...
I was just wondering when the 20th anniversary was to see if we get the whole bloody affair on Blu-ray finally.
I don't know that he'll ever do that, because
I don't know
he's
if he will
very
either.
weird like that. But, you know, that's part of
He
what...
does things for him.
You know, yeah. But, you know, yeah, no, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and I didn't want to really harp on the fact that I thought it was good for women, but I definitely did think that it was a win for women.
I wouldn't say all of his movies, but in a lot of his movies, he is very fair. I mean, I'm definitely not going to use the term
I would say
PC,
pretty much
but
all of them.
he's just
I don't think I've seen one
telling
where it's
good
like,
stories.
geez, you
Well,
know.
Pulp Fiction, Uma Thurman in that wasn't a victim, but she also really wasn't any kind of hero. She was just kind of a character.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you weren't necessarily following any one person, and that was kind of the point of the movie. But, I mean, think about, like, Death Proof. I really
Death Proof,
love
for sure.
that movie. And, I mean, even Inglourious Bastards.
That's true. The woman is a pretty strong character.
Yeah. And,
I mean, Jackie Brown wasn't his writing, but
right, Jackie Brown
still a
wasn't,
strong
exactly.
female lead.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably my least favorite movie of it. And then Reservoir Dogs, there were no women in the cast, actually. That's kind of an interesting...
Reservoir Dogs is still a testament to him as a director, though, because a lot of those actors in anything else, they're really
They're
not
not
great actors, and he just brings out the best and then some.
Yeah.
But even
No,
in
that's another
Django
really great
Unchained,
movie.
she's not quite
Yes.
the damsel in distress, even though that's her role.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was in that, but yeah, okay, so that was one where maybe it fell more into like a typical movie.
But that was more just the world she was in. It wasn't her fault. She wasn't inept. She was a slave. She was stuck.
Well, sure, yeah.
That's what
No,
I'm saying.
but-
Even in that world, he didn't make her two-dimensional.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's just a very good writer, but this movie in particular just really...
Resonates.
I love this movie. I think everyone
It's a great movie.
should watch it.
And there's a
I think
handful of
everyone should
movies where
like
I
it.
always try to watch new things, and I always want to see what's coming out. And, oh, I haven't seen this movie, I got to see this. And I try to experience as much as I can, where you more have a couple dozen things that you love, and you revisit them again and again, which is great. I mean, I rewatch Star Wars on a monthly basis, whatever. This is one of them that every time you put it on, I sit down and watch it. Like a lot of times if you, I really been wanting to watch Titanic, oh, you got, work that night, I'll watch it then. Okay, fine, I'll catch a bit with you. I don't mind watching it every now and then, but Kill Bill is one I usually sit down and...
Titanic is more of a nostalgia thing, because I have to be honest with you, it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was good action. Now we're not even talking about Kill Bill.
I know,
anymore,
we've
but
been way off track.
But with that movie, don't get me wrong, good acting, good writing.
It's a very well-made movie.
It was
It's
a
James
well-made
Cameron.
movie,
It was
but
like the number one movie in the world for
be
a decade.
Real here. If I saw that movie today, and I had no nostalgia, I hadn't watched it as a kid and like been obsessed with it like every other girl my age, would I have felt the same way about it? Probably not.
I don't think
Because
you would
when
have
I
fallen
sit-
as deep, but...
No. It would still be a good movie,
Right.
but a lot of the times when I watch it, like, in my mind, I'm thinking about, like, the nostalgia factor of it. I'm not thinking, like, boy, like, maybe the sets and the costuming's like, oh, man, that's so pretty, and you rarely see it in other movies.
Well, he recreated everything.
Yeah. But the nostalgia is really my number one, like, okay, I gotta go back to this for that. But Kill Bill, the reason why I go back to it is because it's almost, like, weirdly inspirational.
Oh, it
But
definitely is.
It's just so odd how it hits on so many different levels, and it's just perfect on every one.
You also get...
Hi, Stella!
Cat just walked across the keyboard. I hope we're still recording. You also get 10 different movies in one with Kill Bill. But I
Yeah.
think now we're way off topic and rehashing things we've already hashed. So if you haven't seen Kill Bill, go and watch it. If you have seen it but it's been a while, go and watch it. If you just watched it last week, go and watch it.
Do not step on the keyboard, Stella!
Okay, well, I think the cat's telling us it's time. So thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe. We got this, and I do another animated feature going through, right now it's Steven Spielberg's career, called Direct Focus on our YouTube channel. But please remember to subscribe. Check out SoWizardPodcast.com. This is Adam.
And I'm Jackie.
Thanks again.